Okay, go live.
It says to me.
It's going. So that's wonderful. I'm really happy that it's working now. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning.
Good morning. And we're going to be chatting about solo travel. And today I have Janice, the founder of Solo Traveler.
That's right.
Oh, we both have a passion for solo travel.
Absolutely.
Yes. So what brought you into it? Why?
Into traveling solo? Well, I traveled solo periodically over the years, but most of my travel had been family travel, to tell you the truth, raising a family. And, we did a number of long trips as a family, the longest being 10 months. So travel is like a big part of my life. But in 2006, my husband passed away. And a couple of years later, I kind of concluded, I guess I'm traveling solo. And I was a freelance writer at the time and kind of checked online. What I found was pretty spammy. So I decided, like, it was like 24 hours, and I started Solo Traveler and doing more traveling of solo.
That's wonderful. That's just amazing. I love solo travel. I found that for myself, there's no better way to meet people than traveling solo.
Absolutely. Think about it. This is one thing that people really don't get, right? But think of it this way. If you are traveling with a companion, a friend, a partner, whatever, right? You are focused on that person.
Yes.
And if you're traveling by yourself, you're open to the world and people step in.
Right.
And it's wonderful. You absolutely meet more people by traveling solo.
And you're not in isolation. So many people associate that when you're traveling solo, you're going to be on your own at all times. You need not be. No. There's so many different levels to solo travel, from fully independent tours that you're doing yourself to joining a program and being a participant on your own.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, one of the best experiences I had is I heard about this program in Spain where you can be a volunteer, not an instructor, because I do have my TEFL, but just conversational English for Spaniards. These are people that never had the opportunity of taking English growing up through the school system. They've taken it later in life. They're very proficient reading and writing English, but they have limited confidence in speaking English. So they pay this program to be part of a situation where you're off-site in the mountains outside of Salamanca for a week, and they speak nothing but English, even amongst themselves. And to run it, they have volunteers. And I heard nothing of this before. So I thought, I'm looking for reviews, couldn't find anything. So I saw which venues they were using, and I went on to TripAdvisor. And I started looking for any review that commented about the program. And I wrote to those people on TripAdvisor. And I said, what do you think? And they said, it's fabulous, do it. They wrote back to me. And so I signed up and I said, well, I'm not going all the way to Madrid and then off into the mountains and not spend some time afterwards. So I got myself an Airbnb, never been to Madrid before, did my thing, came back. I had met so many people that week volunteering at the English Immersion Program that every evening I was out with different people that were either Spaniards or Anglos based in Madrid. And they showed me around the city only the way locals would.
Yeah.
And it was such a rewarding experience. And I've done that program several times. And I wasn't going to go in blindly. I did a little bit of research, and I have never regretted it. And I'm always recommending it to people constantly. I said, if you're going to Europe and you want a week of being treated well and meeting a whole group of very appreciative people, consider the program, which, by the way, is called, I get nothing for mentioning them. They're called Diverbo.
Diverbo.
Diverbo, D-I-V-E-R-B-O. Diverbo.
That sounds fantastic. What a great experience.
It is. And they also run one out of Germany. And I was supposed to participate in Germany, but I had to cancel at the last minute when my father took a tumble. And so I had to stay back. But you need not just join something that's organized like a tour or a package. You could do a combination of fully independent, like I did, post program and organized. And it was amazing. And I just met so many wonderful people I stay in touch with today. And I'm sure you've had this similar experience.
Oh yeah, the idea of doing a tour and then adding some more time on for yourself, I think is a really good one, because what happens is that, especially if you're going to a country that is challenging. Mm-hmm. So when I went to India, I went to an ashram, spent a week there, and there were people at various stages of being in India, and I was introduced to how the culture works, how the country works, how you get tuk-tuk, all of these things, and then you can go on by yourself and be much more capable. So the organized trips for solo travelers I see as being really, there are three ways. There are people that just want to go on an organized trip, right? Great holiday. You don't have to worry about the details. It's taken care of for you. You can go on an organized trip to introduce you to a culture, right? And if you are on a long-term trip, so say you're out for months traveling, which can get tiring, right? It sounds wonderful, like idyllic, but it can get very tiring. Then take a break and go to an all-inclusive, go to pick up a tour, and just let someone else do the driving for a bit.
Right.
So there's many ways that the organized tour is really great for solo travelers.
Yes, I mean, I did that once, an organized tour of China.
Yeah.
I was going with a friend, and at the last minute, she had to have minor surgery, but it couldn't be postponed. And I said, well, you know what? I'm still going to go. Yeah. I mean, the money was on the line. I might as well go, right? There was no refund in store. And I went. I had a great time. And that was very different. I got on a plane. I knew no one. I figured, okay, there's got to be other people from the tour on this plane. I figured when I land in Beijing, I'm sure there's going to be someone holding up a sign, showing me which way to go. There was absolutely no problem. It was just wonderful. And for like longer vacations, I recall one time I was in Paris for a month, and I invited friends to come up, and they came for a week. And I had a wonderful time the week that they were there, but I had just an equally great time when they weren't there. I joined local meetup groups.
Yeah, that's a very good strategy.
And I kept myself busy going out several times a week, hiking on weekends with my meetup groups.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got to see the city as, Parisian residents saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I should mention about the organized trips and tours is the single supplement, which can be prohibitive in some cases. And, for the last, we've been running the blog's over 10 years old now. And it wasn't long into it that I realized just how much of a barrier the supplement is. And so we've been working on this issue all this time. And we have a page on the site that is but tours just for solo travelers. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some companies, a few in the world, about maybe half a dozen, that are specifically for solo travelers.
Yes.
One of them is a Canadian company called Just You. It's owned by G Adventures that many people know. Yes. But then there are other companies that will put certain tours on sale with no supplement or a very low supplement. And so on this one page on Solo Traveler, we have usually between about maybe 30 companies or so promoting about 4 or 5 trips each. So there's a really, it's a real vast resource for tours with no or a low single supplement. So it's an issue. It's a very serious issue for solo travelers.
It is a serious issue, but I think a lot of people should at least investigate it, because oftentimes you can find that sometimes a single supplement isn't going to break the bank. It could be a very, very reasonable fee.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we have a threshold of 20%. So
Mhm.
the advertisers on our site, if they're promoting a tour, it can't be more than 20%.
Mhm.
When we started Solo Traveler, it was 100% almost all
Yes.
the time. So that's pretty reasonable. And then the other thing I say is that if it, regardless of what the supplement is, if the deal is so super great, go for it, right? Like, don't get hung up.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have that with a Greek cruise I have going next year. They were having a sale and it was, well, of course you take the room to yourself. The price was so incredible. It was very reasonable for two, but the price for one was so manageable that people were going, yeah, I'm just going to take a solo room.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to bring to everyone's attention that you do have, for those that are thinking of solo travel or want to look into it further, you offer a course, an online course.
Ah, yes.
Yes, and it's quite interesting. I think, was it seven steps to it?
It's seven. It's an email course, 7 emails, one per week. It's called the Wits and Wonder Travel Course, and it's about traveling with your wits about you.
Yes.
But also with the wonder, sense of wonder. Kind of, it started off with the wonder of a child kind of thing, because sometimes we lose that sense of wonder as we grow up, right? But one of the things about travel is that it thrusts you into a new circumstance that can really reignite that sense of wonder. So that's what the course is about. It's giving a lot of really good strategies around traveling solo. But also giving ways of igniting that sense of wonder. So that's what it is.
What I really loved about the blog is, like, I've done a fair bit of solo travel, and so I'm really not hesitant, but it's amazing what you can learn amazing what you can learn from reading. And one of the things that just never crossed my mind was traveling with a VPN.
Oh, yes.
I remember being in China, and I said, oh, I know I'm not going to be able to have Facebook here. Right. And it never occurred to me how simple it would be to have a VPN.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the VPN is it's a really important thing. Now, some people are not concerned about data or switching, the cards and the phones and all of that technology. But if you really just want to use public Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi from the hotel is public Wi-Fi.
Yes.
But if you want to use any of that, having a VPN is really important, because it secures all of your data transmissions, and it allows you to go into a bank or pay a credit card bill.
Absolutely.
Things that could come up as you're traveling. But then, of course, as you say, in countries where there's a wall up, you can get around the wall, because the VPN makes you look as if you are located in a different location.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so,
but on another note, it also, because you can look like you're in a different location, if you're traveling, especially for a long time, sometimes you might want to be watching Netflix in the evening or whatever. Well, if you're in Europe, you can't watch your Netflix account. However, if you turn on your VPN, you can. Right? If it's the right VPN.
Right.
So you've got to also be careful as to what the right VPN is. So so it's a security issue, number one, but it's got other benefits as well.
Right, like buying plane tickets. Where are you situated when you're purchasing a ticket? It could dictate how much that ticket is going for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I myself, as a travel agent, obviously I look at tickets a lot, and they say, oh, we're not really following what your keystrokes. I'm sure they're not.
Right.
But, so sometimes I will switch from Chrome to Edge.
Yeah.
Just to get on a different browser.
And put in a private window. Like go into a private window so that the tracking is not there.
So all kinds of tricks, and there's just so much to learn from your blog. I mean, there's just so much information.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't know, what else might we chat about other than you got to get out there and do it. It's an amazing experience. And
I receive emails all the time from people that have been reading the blog for quite a while, and then they go out and they actually do it, and they, so
Yeah.
and that's very rewarding. But that whole the hesitancy to actually go and travel solo, I think that, it's really important to take small steps first and go for a weekend. And I suggest a long weekend, because the first day you're going to be disoriented and you're going to go, what the heck have I done? Why am I doing this by myself? Right?
Yes.
So, and then once you get over that, have 2 more days where you can kind of settle in and enjoy the experience. And then I think that, you will have kind of entered into the idea of solo travel. Mm-hmm. So I think that taking the small steps is really important. And I think one of the things that we've chatted about before is that really a lot functions the same way as it functions at home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The world is, if you're in the Western world, it's pretty, there are commonalities that will make travel easy.
And there's just so many things that are common sense. And even myself, as all the traveling I've done, I've made a couple of blunders. Like one I like to share, because it's particularly humorous, is I firmly believe that when you leave your hotel, especially if you're in a country like China, that you carry a business card with the name of the hotel in the native language. Absolutely. I forgot. I only had one in English. And so I go for a walk. I get on the subway, the metro. And before going down to the platform, I look around and there's 5 exits. And I said, okay, I want exit number 1, 2, 3. Remember it. I had nothing to write it down. I said, I'm going to remember it. It's 1, 2, 3. So I went down. I was walking all around. This was actually in Shanghai. Had a wonderful time. Got on the metro. Came back. Got back off at my station. Go up to that certain level in the rotunda, and I'm looking around, and there's 5 exits, and I can't recall which number I want. And so eventually, I just climb up the set of stairs, and it was like landing in downtown Toronto in the financial district. Every building looked the same. It was one tall skyscraper after another, and I could not figure out which direction to go in. And it was my fault. My business card was in English. I needed one in Mandarin. And I thought, Ramada. How am I going to find the Ramada? I asked a couple of people. I just went, Ramada? I had no idea what I was talking about. Thankfully, Janice, I recalled walking to the Starbucks from my hotel. So I walked up to someone, I went, Starbucks? They pointed me in the direction of the Starbucks. I got there, I walked around and went straight to the hotel. So, I mean, I wasn't frightened. I knew eventually I was going to find the Ramada. It was daytime. There's no need to panic. It'll all work out. And there's certain little things you can do to make your life easier, like carry a business card in the native language. I don't care if you're in France or Spain, where, you think, oh, it's only in French, it's only in Spanish. It need not be something as a little tricky for some of us like Mandarin. But no, I learned my lesson. And I laugh about it today.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. But if you are stuck in a situation where the language is just a barrier, my first go-to are kids.
Yes.
Because they're learning English younger, right? And so they may be really hesitant to talk to you, because especially in Asia, there's this, it's such a different language. They probably read and write it much better than they speak it. So There'll be hesitation, but they'll be able to communicate. So kids are one. And then also any hotel or major chain that you recognize. So I landed in Tokyo and arrived there at night. No, it wasn't night yet, but I arrived at one of the train stations, big city, right?
Yes.
And I knew I was like 10 minutes away from my hostel. I still go to hostels. I love hostels. Okay. And I knew I was about 10 minutes away from my hostel, but I couldn't get oriented, right? And so there I am with a backpack on my back and like my day pack on the front, and traveled 24 hours, right? Just a bit of a, mess. And I looked around and went, there's the Shanghai Hotel. So this is very high-end hotel. I went in, backpacks, the whole thing. They treated me so well.
Yes.
And they got me organized, and it was all easy and straightforward, right? People are there to help. They love to help.
Right. And you know, speaking to Japan in particular, I mean, it's like this in a lot of places, but I found from my own personal experience traveling through Japan on 2, 3 occasions, everything's bilingual. All the trains, all the buses, all the signage is obviously first in Japanese and second in English.
Yeah.
And all the metro stations are numbered, and also the names are written out phonetically.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get around on the metro in Tokyo. I haven't ridden the metro everywhere, maybe Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto, but it's easy. I got to tell you, it's a lot easier than the subway in Manhattan. It's much easier than New York. Nothing. No.
But there are similarities. There are similarities, and as soon as you have ridden a subway in one city,
yes,
it becomes easier the next, and you've got that experience, and it layers and layers and layers, so that these things become easier and easier as you go on.
Yes, no, I found the subways like in Germany, Spain, France, England, easy. I mean, you're not going to get anything as simple as the Toronto subway. I mean, that's pretty basic. It's pretty easy to get around, but they're pretty darn easy. Most of the public transit there, they want you to be able to use it.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't, even in China, it was incredibly easy to use the metro. And if I had only remembered which exit to step out on, I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have that story to tell today. Yeah, I was embarrassed, but I like to share it because I like to drive home a point that always carry a business card in the local language. Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we close off?
You know, maybe just mention the Solo Travel Society, which is on Facebook.
Yes.
There are 260,000 members of the Solo Travel Society, and
yes.
And every day there are questions that are being asked and answered, and information being shared. So I think it's a wonderful resource.
Of course.
But it's just, you know, it's so blossomed in such a vibrant place. It's
yes.
great. But that's where, you know, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram and Twitter and the like, but Facebook is where, you know, where we really have a lot going on. And then, you know, we publish 3 times a week on Solo Traveler. And we also have an email list of about 55,000.
That's wonderful.
And, we email once a week there, and it's got different things every email. So different value that we're trying to deliver. We always try to make sure that it's a worthwhile email.
Right. So we might not be traveling right now, but that doesn't mean we have to stop dreaming.
No, absolutely not.
Traveling again soon. So why not start, you know, laying the foundation for, you know, future travel to come?
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you so very much for joining me this morning, Janice.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Okay. Well, you have a lovely weekend.
You too.
Okay. And we'll chat again.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye-bye.